Virgo, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for late March 2026. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business, as always, and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we can dip our toes in the energy and see what's happening for the lovely Virgo collective. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide, spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for these beautiful Virgos in late March as we move right on into Aries season? Beautiful time of year. It's actually my favorite. Let's see what energies, messages, insights we could take a little peek at. And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card. Then we'll get into the full reading itself. At the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot just to see what might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going here. Let's rock and see what we got for Virgo in late March. What's the vibe? What's the energy? Let's get this card out nice and quick, hopefully. Usually your cards pop out like within the first shuffle or two, but hey, there we go. So this card, it does show up from time to time. It's not the most rare card, but it's one of these oracles that seem very, very simplistic on the surface, but there's a lot laying underneath the surface. So that tells me for a lot of Virgos, maybe you're dealing with some things or situations that seem pretty run of the mill, but there's like some complicated energy underneath. Now, before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the March subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. And also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of the promo, back into the reading. Let's talk more in depth about this. So with this image, we see this lovely lady. She is sitting right next to the window. There's a big golden clock that seems to be at midnight. Outside, it is dark. It is nighttime. There's a moon. We got the letter, we got the bird, we got a phone, we got a kitty cat, we got some roses. So all of these symbols mean different things. Now, what is she doing? She seems to be like sitting and waiting, right? Like she seems to be in like a waiting pattern or a holding pattern. So for some Virgos, maybe that's a vibe you're in right now too, where it's like, let's just wait and see. Or, yeah, let's just give it some time. Hopefully you're not waiting. There is like the mystery outside, especially with the nighttime and the moon, where it's like, I have questions like, how long am I going to be waiting? How long is this going to take? Where is this? What's that? We do have this implied communication here as well, especially with the bird, the telephone, the letter. For some of you, there might just be time affecting, or your perception of time that could be affecting whatever situation you're dealing with. So whether it needs a little bit of time, maybe you feel like you're wasting time, maybe you feel like you have plenty of time, right? It all depends on your perspective. But you see what I mean? It looks simple, but there's a lot here. So again, we're just going to put her down. I feel like I could talk about this card for like another 10 minutes. But watch out for any situations that seem simple but are much more complicated under the surface. So we'll let her chill out. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for the beautiful Virgos. What do we got in late March? And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. It did center around or focus around communication. The reading was titled An Explosive Talk. Now, normally when I see energy like that, it tells me a few different things, whether it's a conversation I wasn't expecting to have, or one that just pops in out of the blue. It could represent something that intensifies, or like this conversation is causing sparks. So just watch out, even with the next couple of weeks, because that energy could bleed over. Watch out for like really intense type of communication. But we're going to see what shows up this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone. So only take this how it hits for you, because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else, right? Let's get it going. 3 cards for the Virgos. What do we got here in late March, please? What do we got here? Thank you. Cool. Yeah, so these 2 cards came out together. There's a really strong reserved type of energy I'm picking up already this week, especially with the first one. But here in position number 1, we got the Page of Swords, the Watcher of the Tarot deck. Seems to be chilling out right there. And then we have the 9 of Wands right next to it. Both of these energies seem very cautious, very, yeah, it's like it's not a big risk-taking vibe. We'll see, though. Let's get one more for the main part. What do we got for Virgo, please? Okay. Yeah, so we got Lady Justice right here on the background, and I'm getting that vibe where it's like, just give it a little time, give it a little time. I'm not sure what it could be about, but all this energy on the top, there's something about it that seems extremely cautious and very reserved. But let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes. Then we'll get into that juicy, intuitive stuff. But at first look, first glance, I always like to look at the elements. I feel like that frames the energy, frames the reading, and tells us how things are going to be moving. And we have two energies that can sometimes cause a little friction with Virgo placements. We have a lot of air with the Page of Swords and Lady Justice, and we have fire. And you know what I always say about the fire combination? It's a little explosive, just like we saw last week. Now, when it comes to the air, this is a very logical, pragmatic, intelligent type of energy. It could speak about information, whether you're searching for it, how you process it. It is very active in the mind. Again, there's big strategy here, thinking like, all right, how am I going to do this going forward? There's like this big planning vibe that's in the undercurrent. And obviously, air rules over communication. But what's the downside? I always like to give you both sides of the coin. The downside to air is that it could be a little flighty, could be a little flaky, could be cold and detached. So we need to keep a close eye on this. And then we have the fire right here in the center, which is normally the realm of action. So whether it's the actions you take, the actions other people take, the actions you might want to take, fire rules over health, well-being, energy levels. So some of you might be feeling high, some of you might be feeling a little zapped, a little low. Fire is, aside from the actions and energy levels, it's passion. It's something that lights that flame within us. It's desire. It's that oomph, that get up and go. So normally I like this, but the downside to the fire is that it could be a little uncontrollable, right? There could be that volatility, that explosiveness. And when you add the fire air combination, it's like, okay, watch out. So we're going to have to see how it all plays, because we have this really push explosive energy, but then there's a lot of reserve. So it's like there could be a lot of friction. Let's go through and start building this out piece by piece. Position number one, we got the Page of Swords. Now, it's big air sign energy, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Pages could also represent younger individuals as well. And when it comes to the pages, I always say they represent students and communication. They're big messengers. But this Page of Swords is a little different than the other ones. Notice this page has the sword up. There are the birds, there's a lot of symbolism of communication, but this page has the sword up and it is being very, very cautious. It's unsure. Now, it is called the Watcher of the Tarot deck for a reason. It's very observant. So, again, there could be something that either Spirit wants you to keep an eye on. Maybe there's something you are keeping an eye on. Maybe someone's keeping an eye on you. This is a watcher. This is a big watcher when this card shows up. But I don't dislike it. If it is a communication, it's like someone has their guard up potentially, specifically with this showing up right next to it. The downside to the Page of Swords, it's looking for problems instead of solutions. That's like a big thing. And all pages could be a little shy. So there's nothing wrong with problem solving. There's nothing wrong with troubleshooting. But this energy automatically goes to that, where it's like, well, what's wrong? What's this problem? Um, Moving to the middle, we have a very similar shade, because we have the Nine of Wands, the Wounded Warrior, chilling right here in the center. And we see this person, they have built a wall out of those wands, got the bandage on the head. This represents someone that's been through it, right? They've been through a few things. They've been around the block. They'd rather not go through it again. So the positive aspect of this card is that it's protective. It's very territorial. This is a card of boundaries. So whether you're setting them or whether someone else is setting them, this is a card of specific boundaries that will not be crossed. The big downside of this is it could be big communication issues. That's one thing that could come with this. So whether it's miscommunications, no communication at all, big blockages, and sometimes this could even represent rejection, whether feeling it or doing it. And again, it doesn't have to mean a person. It could be rejecting a thought process, rejecting a habit, rejecting an energy. So we need to keep a very close eye on this. Now, moving to the very back end, we do have more of a balanced energy, because we have this abundance of caution, which again could be an advice from Spirit, where it's like, just proceed with caution. We got Lady Justice, so watch out for any legalities. That's a big thing with her. Big Libra vibes. So if you're connected to Libra, this could just be it. But when I see her, I think of paperwork, I think of processes, I think of legalities. So anything you're putting your signature on, just read it a couple times before you do so when she shows up. She's big when it comes to decision making, choices. It's a card of harmony at its core. So I usually do like this card, because it's like, all right, let's stay balanced here. Let's take the foot off the gas for a minute. That's a good thing. The downside to Lady Justice is that it could be very, very intense. Sometimes it could represent karmic things, karmic situations, situations that are out of our hands. And it could also be a stuck type of energy, where it's like, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go from here. But I will say overall, the energy feels prudent and cautious, extra cautious. So I want to dive deeper on all this, Virgo. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here for you, my friends. What do we got for Virgo, please? And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message, which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot, because as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation, and I'm just giving you mine. Let's go in on that page. And yes, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages you want to give to Virgo, you could drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, why is that Page of Swords here? Why is that Page of Swords here for Virgo, please? Thank you. Cool. It feels just extremely, extremely cautious. So we have the King of Wands in reverse, and a big thing about the kings, all of them, they represent control. Specifically, the King of Wands, it is controlling my attention, controlling my actions, controlling where I'm letting energy flow. If you're not connected to a fire sign, so notice we still have this fire-air combination showing throughout, but this is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. When he shows up in reverse, it's like, I'm watching this and I can't help but do it. So again, there could be a lot of things, whether it's a thought process or something where it's like, it's an itch that needs to be scratched. It does feel a little habitual to me. Now, again, this could be someone else's energy. I'm not saying it's yours. And it can absolutely be a little bit of a warning from spirit saying like, hey, Virgo, be cautious with how you're moving. Be careful with that next step, because this King of Wands can sometimes act before it thinks. So like I see this, I see this want for action. I see this energy that wants to scratch that itch. But there is this either cautious approach that someone's taking or cautious approach that spirit is requesting somebody take. So just watch out for this. Like the energy doesn't feel like bad or terrible to me. There could be a lot of watching going on too. So again, whether it's something you need to watch or whether it's someone observing, to me, it's like scratching an itch. That's the best way to put it. But we're going to keep moving. We're not going to overcomplicate it. Let's see what the Nine of Wands has. I don't know why so cautious though. So yeah, maybe it is a warning. But let's go in on that 9. We'll see what that has, and we'll get over to Lady Justice. So why is the 9 of Wands here? Cool. A little isolated. A little isolated. Okay, so we have the Three of Pentacles in reverse. Now, for some Virgos, this could definitely represent a specific individual that Spirit wants you to just keep a very close eye on. I know I mentioned like the situation in general, especially here on the front, but the main thing I'm getting with the Nine of Wands, Three of Pentacles in reverse is there is this little bit of sense of isolation, loneliness, longing. That's what I'm picking up this week. Now, for some of you, maybe you're just not feeling too social, right? Like it could be very simple, cut and dry. It doesn't always have to be like, big life altering stuff. The Three of Pentacles is usually a card of teamwork, the people around us, work, home, family, the groups that surround us. That's the biggest thing. And usually this is teamwork makes the dream work. So when I see it in reverse underneath it, this Nine of Wands, and with all the caution that I'm feeling here, either Spirit wants you to be very cautious when interacting with a specific person, or there's someone that Spirit wants you to just be aware of a little bit. That's very possible. But then I still get this, like, I don't want to call it antisocial, but it's just not feeling very social. It's just feeling very quiet and a little secluded. We're going to keep moving. Sometimes there's a time and a place for that. Again, no judgment here. If that's an energy you're in, we all go through from time to time where it's like, yeah, I just don't really feel like talking to anybody, or I need a little alone time, a little me time. That's very possible here. We're just going to keep going. We're going to see what Lady Justice has. Maybe this energy will start to even out. But again, there is this like observing, watching type of energy going on. So if that's not you, just know you might be getting more attention than you normally do. Okay? Whether you're trying to or whether you're not, there's like this strong observing. So let's go in on Lady Justice, see what she has. Then we'll do a quick little recap before we get into the shadow. So why is the lovely Lady Justice here? Okay. Yeah, so the energy that we're picking up here with Lady Justice, we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse underneath Lady Justice. And it does feel impulsive to me. That's another thing I will say. Notice all the different people here. I only pull 6 card spreads, right? 3 of the 6 cards are court cards, which represent other people. Then we got the 3, which also represents other people. So again, if you're the type of Virgo that is sensitive to energy, just, you might need to ground yourself and protect your energy in this time, because there's a strong sensitivity to the energy of others potentially affecting you. But there is this impulsive action here on the back end. Now, I know I said Lady Justice is normally, karmic, usually balanced, very chill. But when I see one of your power cards, the Queen of Pentacles, which is again usually solid, stable, set, chill, when I see her in reverse underneath it, it's kind of like an energy that lashes out a little bit. So like I do see action, I do see forward push, but it's not well thought through. So in this time, watch out for urges. So we have multiple potential warnings this week that I would treat as important or potentially serious. But the big thing I'm picking up here is like scratching an itch, a little longing, isolation. Then we have this impulsive energy coming out of it. So whether it's someone else's energy or yours, there's like this impulsive uh, action. There's a little bit of riskiness to it too. So it's like we start with the cautious energy. Now we're getting to the risky. So there's a very intriguing layer here. Um, Maybe this energy in the center might be a good thing this coming week for some Virgos, especially with all these complicated energies surrounding. But let's go through, do a quick recap, then we'll get into the shadow. So a lot of layers this week. Again, only take what's yours, and the vast majority of it could be other people's energy affecting you. But if you look here in the box, position number 1, we got the Page of Swords with the King of Wands in reverse. That is a bit of a warning where Spirit's like, hey, watch your next step. Just be cautious with the next things that you do. So we do have that initial warning. Another vibe, there's a lot of observing, there's a lot of watching going on, whether you're the one doing it, whether Spirit's advising you to do it, whether someone's doing it to you. There's like this watching that I'm picking up in a very big way this week. Aside from that, it's like be cautious. Moving to the center, the same thing. We have the 9 of Wands with the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. So we do have like this cautionary energy that maybe there's a specific individual that Spirit wants you to be aware of. For another portion of Virgos, maybe you're just feeling a little uh, maybe you don't feel like socializing. Maybe there's certain people or things that you don't have a lot of energy for. You don't really feel like talking to. There's nothing wrong with a little me time, right? And that's how this feels. But I still have this cautionary vibe. Moving to the back end, the energy does get a little reactive. So just know in this time, the energy of others, the things that are in the air, could cause you to act in ways that you normally wouldn't, or somebody would, right? Because Lady Justice with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, like to me, that feels like very impulsive action. So when we combine like the warning on the front, it's something that you should take note of as the week moves forward. So please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here. And yeah, I always like to pull one shadow card at the very end just to see whether it's something within you or something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge. They could be a good thing. So let's get you one. And yeah, if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel, and I have much love for all my channel members. Okay, let's get this going here. What do we got? What do we got? Thank you. Yeah, another person. Are we surprised here? It like finishes the whole zodiac, right? We have the air signs, the fire signs, earth signs. Now we got the Queen of Cups, which represents the water. So this does fit the vibe of what we've been seeing the whole entire reading. So again, those of you that are energetically sensitive or dealing with any group dynamics or dealing with other people, just be a little cautious. Now, the Queen of Cups does rule mostly over someone's emotional state, emotional well-being, which is an important thing, right? The downside to her is that she could really suppress things and try to push them down. So in this time, there may be urges to do that. Whether it's a worry, a thought, an anxiety, a situation, you might be a little prone to try to push it down, but Spirit might want you to find an outlet for it. Okay, so that could come in a lot of different ways, whether it's conversation, communication with people, whether it's physical activity, a hobby, you name it. Like it's just something where it's I need something to put this energy into, right? Because I can't keep pushing it down. So or either that or someone you're connected to is much more emotional than usual. But we're just going to leave it at that, Virgo. That's what I have for you this week. Don't click away just yet, though. I'm going to give you the details of the March subscriber surprise. If you would like further insight into your situation and you'd like to have a chat with me, you can book a personal session with me at my website, mastermetaphysics.com. The March calendar is live and spots go quick, so you could go check that out. But for the March subscriber surprise, we're doing another winner's choice. I will choose 3 subscribers to win either a copy of the Everyday Witches Tarot, beautiful deck, or handmade crystal pendant, which I showcase at my website, mastermetaphysics.com. So if you'd like to get your name in for that, it's two simple things. As always, my friends, first, you must be subscribed. And second, let me know down in the comments, what zodiac signs do you get along best with? Which ones are your favorite? You'll be entered to win, and at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in my community tab. As always, my friends, much love, and I'll see you soon.